Don't block him, don't beg, just do this and watch what happens. I am Bonang Matheba, and tonight I am sitting on the edge of my king-size bed in a silk robe that cost more than most people's rent, staring at a phone screen that has gone dark for the third hour in a row. The apartment is quiet except for the low hum of the city outside my Johannesburg penthouse windows, and the only light is the blue glow from the device in my hand. He read my last message at 9:47 p.m. It is now 12:52 a.m. No reply, no scene, no nothing. My thumb hovers over the block button like it has a mind of its own, trembling the way my heart is trembling. I can feel the heat rising in my chest, that familiar mix of anger and panic that tells me I am 1 second away from doing something I will regret by sunrise. You know the feeling, sister, the one that makes you want to erase him from your life with a single tap, to punish him for making you feel small. I have been here before, not in this exact apartment, not in this exact robe, but in this exact emotional zip code. The first time was in college, when a boy named Thabo left me on, delivered for 2 whole days after I poured my soul into a paragraph about how much I missed him. I blocked him then, and for 48 hours, I felt powerful, like I had drawn a line in the sand. But by day 3, I was refreshing his Instagram through a burner account, heart racing every time his story circle appeared. The block did not protect me. It only chained me to the hope that he would notice my absence and come running. Tonight feels like déjà vu with better lighting. I am older now, supposedly wiser, but the urge is the same. My manicured finger circles the button the way a boxer circles an opponent, looking for the perfect opening. Part of me wants to slam it down and watch his name disappear from my contacts like a magic trick. Another part, the part that still remembers the way he kissed my forehead in the rain last month, wants to type another message, softer this time, maybe with a crying emoji to show him I am hurting but not crazy. I hate that I even know crying emojis exist. The clock ticks to 12:53. I set the phone face down on the duvet and walk to the floor-to-ceiling window. The city sprawls beneath me like a necklace of diamonds, and for a moment I let myself imagine throwing the phone out into that glitter, watching it fall 37 floors and shatter on the pavement. Dramatic, yes, but drama feels honest right now. I press my forehead against the cool glass and whisper to my reflection, Bonang, you are too grown for this. But the truth is, grown women get ghosted too. We just have better concealer to hide the bags under our eyes. I think about the women who will watch this video tomorrow, the ones scrolling in their pajamas in Atlanta, Chicago, Houston, maybe even in small town Alabama where the Wi-Fi is spotty but the heartbreak is crystal clear. I want to tell them that I understand the itch to block, the way it feels like the only weapon you have when someone has stripped you of every other defense. But weapons rust, darling, and blocks are just rust waiting to happen. I pick the phone up again. His chat is still open, my last message sitting there like a lonely child on the first day of school. Are you okay? I had written, because that is what we do, we check on the very people who are checking out of us. I scroll up past the good mornings and the heart emojis, past the selfies we took in Cape Town with the ocean behind us, past the voice notes where he called me my queen in that low voice that made my knees weak. The higher I scroll, the more the memories sting. I stop at a photo he sent me 3 weeks ago. Me asleep on his chest, his arm draped over my waist like a seatbelt. I looked peaceful. I looked loved. I looked like a woman who did not know she would be staring at a silent phone tonight. My thumb hovers again. This time I am not thinking about blocking him. I am thinking about deleting the entire thread, erasing the evidence that I ever cared this much. But even that feels like surrender. I set the phone on the nightstand and crawl under the covers, fully clothed, robe and all. The ceiling fan spins lazy circles above me, and I count the blades the way my grandmother taught me to count sheep when I was little. 1, 2, 3. By the time I reach 20, the urge to block has dulled to a manageable ache, like a bruise instead of a broken bone. I close my eyes and make a promise to the dark. I will not let this man turn me into a version of myself I do not recognize. Not tonight. Not ever again. The city keeps humming outside, and somewhere in the distance, a car alarm goes off and then stops, like even the night is learning to stay calm. Tomorrow, I will wake up and decide what to do with the silence he left me. But tonight, I choose sleep over sabotage, and that, my loves, is the first real victory. Morning light slips through the blinds like a secret, painting gold stripes across my hardwood floor. I wake up with the robe twisted around my waist and the phone exactly where I left it, screen still dark. For a split second, I hope maybe he texted while I was dreaming, but the lock screen shows 6:17 a.m. and 0 notifications. My chest tightens, but I breathe through it the way my yoga instructor taught me: 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out. I swing my legs over the side of the bed and plant my feet on the cool floor, grounding myself in the present instead of the phantom vibration I keep imagining. The apartment smells faintly of last night's jasmine candle, now burned down to a stub. I pad to the kitchen in bare feet and start the coffee maker, watching the dark liquid drip like it has all the time in the world. While it brews, I open the Notes app on my phone and stare at the blank page. My fingers itch to type the message I rehearsed in my head at 3 a.m. The one that starts with, "I deserve better than radio silence," and ends with, "Please come back." I have written versions of this plea 100 times in my life, to different men, in different cities, always with the same desperate punctuation. The worst one was to a producer in Los Angeles who ghosted me after I flew across an ocean to see him. I begged in that message. I used the word please 11 times. He never replied, but I still have the screenshot saved in a folder labeled Lessons. I open that folder now just to remind myself how far I have come and how easy it is to slide backward. The coffee finishes brewing. I pour it into my favorite mug, the one with the gold handle that says Queen in cursive, and carry it to the balcony. The city is waking up. Delivery scooters, early joggers, a street vendor setting up his fruit cart. I lean against the railing and let the steam from the coffee warm my face. The begging message is still open in my notes, cursor blinking like a heartbeat. I type the first line, "I don't know what I did wrong, but," and then I stop. My thumbs freeze. Because the truth is, I do not know what I did wrong, and that is the problem. We women are trained to apologize for existing when someone stops loving us, as if our worth comes with an expiration date that only they can read. I delete the line, then I delete the whole note. The screen goes blank again, and for the first time in hours, I smile. I open the camera instead and take a selfie with the sunrise behind me. Hair messy, no makeup, robe slipping off one shoulder. I caption it, "New day, same crown," and post it to my story before I can overthink it. Within minutes, the likes roll in, little red hearts from women who understand the assignment. One of them comments, "You look like peace," and I feel it in my bones. I spend the morning moving slowly on purpose, long shower, avocado toast, a playlist full of Mary J. Blige and Jill Scott. I do not check his profile. I do not Google how to make him miss you. I do not even open WhatsApp. Instead, I call my mother, who answers on the second ring and says, "Baby, a man who wants to be found never gets lost." I laugh so hard, I almost cry. By noon, I am dressed in a linen jumpsuit, the color of butter, gold hoops swinging as I walk to my favorite cafe. The barista knows my order: oat milk cappuccino, extra foam, and slides it across the counter with a wink. I sit by the window and open my journal, the real one with the leather cover, not the digital begging vault. I write, "Day 1 of choosing me, no blocks, no begging, just breathing." The pen feels heavier than the phone ever did. A woman at the next table glances over and smiles like she recognizes the ritual. Maybe she has her own journal, her own ghost. I nod back, a silent sisterhood. The afternoon stretches ahead like a gift I get to unwrap slowly. I have a meeting with my manager about a potential brand deal, but first I stop at the bookstore and buy 3 paperbacks I have been meaning to read. The cashier wraps them in brown paper like a present. On the walk home, my phone buzzes, my heart leaps, but it is just a reminder to drink water. I laugh out loud on the sidewalk, and a passing schoolgirl laughs with me for no reason. Back in the apartment, I light a new candle, bergamot this time, and sit cross-legged on the rug. I open one of the books, but before I read, I do something I have never done after a ghosting. I thank the silence out loud. "Thank you for the space," I say to the empty room. "Thank you for the lesson." The words feel strange at first, like wearing someone else's shoes, but then they settle into my skin like truth. Night falls again, softer this time. I cook pasta with tomatoes from the balcony garden, pour a glass of red wine, and eat on the couch while watching an old episode of Girlfriends. My phone stays on the charger across the room, screen down. I do not check it once. When I finally crawl into bed, the sheets cool against my legs, I realize I have gone an entire day without begging for a crumb of attention. The begging message remains unsent, unborn, unimportant. I fall asleep with the taste of garlic and freedom on my tongue, and I dream of wide open fields where no one is running away. The third morning arrives with a text from my best friend, Lerato. Brunch, mimosas, gossip, I reply with a single peach emoji at a time. I am learning that joy can be a decision, not a reaction. I choose a sundress, the color of ripe mangoes, and twist my braids into a high bun that makes me feel like I am wearing a crown. Before I leave, I glance at the phone on the nightstand. Still nothing from him. The absence used to feel like a scream. Now it feels like background music I can turn down. I slip the phone into my purse on silent and walk out the door without looking back. The restaurant is on a rooftop with a view of Table Mountain, and Lerato is already there, waving like a flag in a yellow turban. We hug like we have not seen each other in years instead of days. She orders the first round of mimosas and says spill. I tell her everything, the ghosting, the almost block, the unsent beg, the sunrise selfie, the journal, the pasta. She listens without interrupting, which is how I know she loves me. When I finish, she raises her glass and says, to the woman who chose herself before noon, we clink. The bubbles tickle my nose, and for the first time in 72 hours, I laugh without forcing it. Over Eggs Benedict, Lerato tells me about her own situationship with a DJ who only calls after midnight. I blocked him last week, she says, and then unblocked him 2 days later because I missed the chaos. We both crack up because chaos is a hell of a drug. But I tell her about the calm I am chasing now, the way silence feels like armor instead of punishment. She nods slowly, like she is trying it on in her mind. After brunch, we walk to the spa for pedicures, because self-care is not a luxury, it is maintenance for the soul. The technician paints my toes a deep burgundy called Boss Lady, and I tip her extra because the name feels like prophecy. On the way home, I stop at the grocery store and buy ingredients for the week. Salmon, spinach, sweet potatoes, things that nourish instead of numb. The cashier asks if I am having a party. I smile and say, just a date with myself. That night, I cook dinner while listening to a podcast about emotional intelligence. The host says, the space between trigger and response is where your power lives. I pause with a spatula in my hand, salmon sizzling in the pan, and feel the truth land like a seed in fresh soil. I plate the food, set the table for one with the good china, and light another candle. This one smells like vanilla and victory. Halfway through the meal, my phone buzzes on the counter. I do not flinch. I finish chewing, wipe my mouth with a linen napkin, and walk over slowly, like I am approaching a wild animal that might bolt. The screen lights up with his name. My stomach flips, but my feet stay planted. The message preview says, hey, can we talk? I stare at it for a full minute, feeling the old pull, the muscle memory of running toward validation. But something stronger rises up curiosity about who I am without his voice in my head. I turn the phone face down again and return to my plate. The salmon is perfect, flaky, and seasoned with herbs from my balcony. I eat every bite, savoring the way choosing myself tastes better than any apology ever could. Later, I take a bath with Epsom salts and rose oil. The water so hot it turns my skin pink. I bring the phone into the bathroom, but keep it on the counter, screen off. I do not open his message. I do not block him either. I simply let it exist in the same way the city exists outside my window, present, but not in charge. When I step out of the tub, I wrap myself in a towel and stand in front of the mirror. The woman looking back has wet curls plastered to her forehead and steam-flushed cheeks, but her eyes are steady. I speak to her reflection the way I would speak to my younger sister. You are enough exactly as you are, and no unread message can change that. I crawl into bed with damp hair and the faint scent of roses on my skin. The phone stays on the charger, his text unanswered, my heart unshaken. For the first time in years, I fall asleep without negotiating my worth in the dark. The power I almost gave away is still mine, humming quietly under my ribs like a secret song. And tomorrow I will wake up and keep writing the lyrics. Day 4 breaks open like a pomegranate, all juice and promise. I wake before the alarm, sunlight sneaking through the blinds in confident stripes across my silk sheets. The phone is still on the charger, his message from last night sitting there like an unopened bill I have decided not to pay. I stretch long and slow, feeling every vertebra pop into place, and swing my legs over the bed with the kind of energy that usually only comes after 3 espressos. Today is not about him. Today is about the woman in the mirror who is starting to recognize herself again. I walk to the closet and pull out the red dress, the one I bought in Paris last year and never wore because I was saving it for a special occasion that never came. The fabric is soft but bold, the color of stop signs and lipstick stains, the kind of red that makes people look twice. I slip it over my head and let it settle against my skin like a dare. No bra, no Spanx, just me in the dress in the morning. I twist in front of the full-length mirror, watching the hem brush my knees, and I smile at the stranger who looks like she has places to be and people to impress, starting with herself. I do my makeup slow, blending foundation with my fingers the way my auntie taught me back in Soweto, humming along to Alicia Keys on the speaker. Eyeliner sharp enough to cut glass, lips the same red as the dress. I slide my feet into nude heels that make my legs look endless and grab a clutch small enough to force me to travel light, no room for yesterday's baggage. Before I leave, I open the balcony doors and let the city air kiss my collarbones. The phone buzzes once, a calendar reminder for a nail appointment I booked weeks ago. I silence it and walk out the door without checking anything else. The elevator ride down 37 floors feels like descending into a new chapter. In the lobby, the doorman, Mr. Dlamini, tips his hat and says, "Miss Matheba, you look like trouble today." I laugh and tell him trouble is exactly what I am dressed for. Outside, the street is alive with Saturday energy. Vendors selling roasted corn, kids chasing pigeons, a saxophonist on the corner playing something smooth and hopeful. I hail a cab instead of calling my driver because I want the anonymity of a stranger's backseat. The driver glances in the rear view and says, "Special occasion?" I meet his eyes and say, "Every day I wake up breathing is a special occasion." He nods like he gets it. We weave through traffic to my favorite boutique in Bonang, the one with the curated racks and the owner who remembers my coffee order. I spend 2 hours trying on clothes I do not need, twirling in fitting rooms with mirrors on 3 sides, buying a leather jacket that smells like possibility, and a pair of earrings heavy enough to remind me I am still here. The sales associate wraps everything in tissue paper, the color of champagne, and ties it with string. I carry the bags like trophies. Lunch is at a rooftop cafe with ivy climbing the walls and a waitress who calls everyone love. I order a grilled octopus and a glass of rosé, then another, because hydration comes in many forms. I people watch. Couples arguing over the menu, friends laughing too loud, a woman at the bar sketching in a notebook with fierce concentration. I pull out my own journal and write, "Red dress days are for reclaiming territory, one sidewalk crack at a time. A breeze lifts the hem of my dress and I let it." My phone stays in the clutch, buried under lipstick and receipts. I do not think about his message. I do not wonder if he saw my story from yesterday, the one with the sunrise and the caption about crowns. I am too busy living the sequel. After lunch, I walk to the art gallery down the street, the one with the neon sign that says, "Feel something." Inside, the air is cool and smells like acrylic paint. I stand in front of a canvas splashed with blues and golds, and the artist, a woman with a shaved head and paint on her overalls, asks what I see. I tell her I see a storm that learned how to dance. She smiles like I passed a test. I buy the painting on impulse, arranging delivery for next week. On the way out, I stop at a flower stand and buy a bouquet of sunflowers so bright they hurt to look at. The vendor wraps them in brown paper and says, "These are for someone who knows her worth." I tip him double. By the time I get home, the sun is low and golden, painting the apartment in honey. I kick off my heels, hang the red dress on a padded hanger like it deserves a standing ovation, and arrange the sunflowers in a vase on the dining table. I pour a glass of water, no wine this time, and sit on the balcony with my feet up on the railing. The city is settling into evening, lights flickering on like stars deciding to clock in. I finally take the phone out of the clutch. His message is still there, unread. I swipe it away without opening it, not out of anger, but out of abundance. I have too much living to do to read subtitles from someone who walked out of the movie. I open the camera instead and take a photo of the sunflowers against the sunset, caption it, "Bloom where you are planted, even if someone tried to uproot you," and post it. The likes come fast, but I do not watch them stack. I set the phone face down and toast the skyline with my water glass. The red dress hangs in the closet like a flag of surrender to no one but myself, and I know tomorrow I will wear something else that makes me feel invincible. Week 2 begins with a 5:30 a.m. alarm that feels like a personal challenge. I roll out of bed and into leggings and a sports bra before my brain can negotiate. The gym in my building is empty except for the hum of treadmills and the faint scent of eucalyptus from the sauna. I plug in my earbuds, press play on a playlist, heavy with Megan Thee Stallion and old school Destiny's Child, and start with the stair climber. Because pain is a great editor, it cuts the bullshit right out of your thoughts. 20 minutes in, my thighs are screaming, but so is the part of me that used to refresh his Instagram at this hour. I match my breath to the beat, sweat dripping like forgiveness. After cardio, I move to weights, curling dumbbells that make my arms tremble in the best way. The mirror shows a woman with flushed cheeks and determination in her eyes, not the one who cried over pasta last week. I take a selfie mid-set, no filter, just proof. The trainer on duty, a guy named Sifo with a smile like sunshine, spots me on squats and says, "You're moving like someone who's done carrying dead weight." I laugh so hard I almost drop the bar. By 7, I am showered, smoothie in hand, kale and mango, and a scoop of protein that tastes like progress. I have a meeting with my financial advisor at 9, so I dress in a blazer over a silk camisole, trousers that fit like they were tailored by someone who loves me. The advisor's office smells like leather and ambition. We review my portfolio, stocks, real estate, the media company I started last year that is finally turning profit. She slides a spreadsheet across the table and says, "You're up 12% this quarter." I nod, but the real win is the emergency fund that could buy me a house in cash if I wanted. I ask her to move another chunk into a high-yield account labeled Future Bonang, because the best investment is the one that bets on yourself. Lunch is a working session with my creative director about a potential skincare line. We sketch logos on napkins, argue over shade names, laugh until the waiter thinks we are drunk on sparkling water. I pitch Unbothered as a moisturizer and Red Dress Energy as a serum. She writes it down without blinking. Afternoon is for errands that used to feel like chores, but now feel like plot points, dry cleaner, post office, bookstore. I buy 5 paperbacks, 1 memoir, 1 poetry collection, 2 novels, 1 business book with a title that promises to make me dangerous in negotiations. The cashier rings them up and says, "Big reader?" I tell her I am building a library for the woman I am becoming. Evenings are sacred now. I cook dinner, salmon again, but with a new glaze, roasted vegetables that caramelize like secrets. I eat at the table with a candle and a podcast about women who built empires from heartbreak. The host interviews a tech founder who turned a breakup into a 7-figure app. I take notes on a legal pad. After dishes, I sit on the couch with a book and a cup of chamomile, legs tucked under me like a cat. The phone is on Do Not Disturb, but I check it once, out of habit more than hope. His message thread is still there, but I have not opened it. Instead, I open my banking app and transfer money to my savings, watching the number climb like a heartbeat. I set a goal, 6 months of expenses in liquid cash, then a down payment on a beach house in Cape Town, where I can write mornings and watch whales afternoons. I fall asleep with a book on my chest and the taste of honey on my tongue. The next 30 days blur into a montage of discipline and delight. Gym at dawn, meetings that end with handshakes and contracts, evenings with friends who pour wine and truth in equal measure. I read 12 books, cover to cover, underlining sentences that feel like scripture. I negotiate a sponsorship deal that pays enough to fund a scholarship for girls in my hometown. My body changes, waist cinching, arms defining, the kind of transformation that happens when you lift yourself instead of begging someone else to carry you. My bank account thickens like good soup. My circle tightens to people who celebrate my wins without keeping score. One night, I host dinner for 6 women, all entrepreneurs, all magic. We eat jollof rice and tell stories about the men who tried to dim us and how we turned the lights back on ourselves. Someone proposes a toast to wallets that close deals and hearts that stay open but never on sale. We clink glasses so hard one stems cracks, and we laugh until our ribs hurt. By the end of the month, I stand on the scale and see a number I have not seen since college, but the real weight lifted is the one I stopped carrying in my chest. I take a photo in the red dress again, same mirror, different woman. The fabric fits better now, not because I shrunk, but because I expanded into every inch of who I am. I posted with the caption, 30 days of choosing me. The glow is not filtered. The comments flood with fire emojis and testimonials from women who started their own journeys because of mine. I do not read them all. I am too busy living the next chapter. The wallet is thicker, the mind is sharper, the body is stronger, and the heart is a fortress with the drawbridge up by choice, not by force. Day 31 starts with rain tapping the windows like impatient fingers. I wake to the sound and the smell of wet earth rising 37 floors. My phone is on the nightstand, fully charged, a habit I kept even when I stopped letting it rule me. I make coffee and open the balcony doors to let the storm in. The city looks softer in the gray light, secrets washed clean. I am halfway through my first sip when the phone pings, not the calendar, not Lerato, not my manager. It is him. The preview says, I saw your posts, you look happy. My stomach does a small flip, but it is not the free fall it would have been a month ago. It is more like the dip on a roller coaster, ends with your hands in the air. I set the mug down and pick up the phone, thumb steady. I open the thread for the first time since the night I almost blocked him. His original message from weeks ago sits there. Hey, can we talk? Followed by 3 more over the days I ignored him, each one shorter, like he was running out of oxygen. The latest is a voice note. I press play. His voice fills the kitchen, lower than I remember, threaded with something that might be regret. Bonang, I messed up. I got scared. You were glowing and I didn't know how to keep up. Can we meet? Just coffee. I miss you. The note ends. The rain keeps falling. I stand there in my robe, coffee cooling, and feel the old ache, try to crawl back in. But it is weaker now, like a ghost that forgot it was supposed to haunt someone else. I do not replay the note. I do not cry. I do not text back. I smile, small and private, the kind of smile you give a memory you have outgrown. I open Instagram instead and post a story, a video of the rain on my balcony, my hand catching drops, caption, some storms come to clear the path. I add a song, Golden by Jill Scott, and watch the views climb. Then I do something I have been waiting to do. I archive every photo of us, not delete, archive. They go into a folder labeled Closed Chapters, a digital attic where dust collects on what no longer serves. I do not block him, I do not need to. The space between us is wider than any digital wall. I spend the morning in meetings, pitching the skincare line to investors who fly in from Lagos. They love the names, love the story, love the woman telling it. One of them, a venture capitalist with a Harvard MBA and a soft spot for underdogs, asks about my inspiration. I tell her about the red dress, the gym at 5:30, the books that taught me compound interest applies to self-worth too. She laughs and says, we're in. By lunch, the deal is sketched on a napkin, signatures to follow. I celebrate with sushi and green tea, alone at the counter, chopsticks steady. Afternoon is for content creation. I film a video in the red dress, natural light, no script. I talk about the 30 days, the choice to build instead of beg, the way silence became my superpower. I end with, ladies, your comeback does not need his permission. It only needs your persistence. I upload it raw, no edits, and watch the shares explode. That evening, Lerato comes over with wine and gossip. We sit on the couch, legs tangled, and she tells me the DJ tried to slide back into her DMs with a sad emoji. She showed me the message, and we laughed until we cried. I show her his voice note. She listens, eyes wide, then says, girl, he sounds like a man who just realized the party continued without him. We toast to parties that rage on. Later, I cook dinner, steak and asparagus, and eat on the balcony while the rain slows to a drizzle. The city smells clean. My phone lights up again, another message from him, a photo of the cafe where we had our first date, caption, remember this. I look at it for 3 seconds, feel nothing but nostalgia for the version of me who sat across from him wide-eyed and hopeful. I do not reply, I do not need to. I take a photo of my plate, the skyline behind it, and post it to my story with the words, new memories taste better. I go to bed early, window cracked so the storm can sing me to sleep. The phone stays on the charger, his messages unread after the first. I dream of running on a beach at sunrise, red dress flying behind me like a cape, no one chasing, no one needed. When I wake, the rain has stopped and the sun is bold again. I smile at the ceiling and know the next text from him. If it comes, we'll find a woman who is already whole. The smile I gave his return was not for him. It was for the woman who learned to answer her own calls first. The call comes at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday that already feels electric. My publicist's voice crackles through the speaker, half asleep but buzzing. Vogue wants you for the December cover, global edition. They're flying the crew in tomorrow. I sit straight up in bed, silk pillow slipping to the floor. And for a moment, the room spins like I'm 16 again and someone just handed me a microphone at the school talent show. I whisper, yes, before she finishes the sentence. By 7, I'm in the kitchen blending spinach, banana, and ginger, fuel for the marathon ahead. The team lands at noon. Photographer from London, stylist from New York, makeup artist who once painted Beyoncé's cheekbones. They take over the penthouse like a glamorous invasion, racks of couture rolling in on wheels, lighting rigs taller than my fridge. I greet them in leggings and an oversized sweatshirt that says "Dream in Color," hair wrapped in a satin scarf. The stylist, a woman named Zara, with a measuring tape around her neck like a necklace, sizes me up and says, "We're doing power, not pretty." Thin queen who negotiates treaties in 6-inch heels. I love her immediately. We start with wardrobe. A gold lame gown that catches every photon in the room, a tailored white suit sharp enough to slice bread, a black lace bodysuit under an emerald cape that flows like liquid money. Each look is a different version of the woman I have been building in private now, stepping into public life. The photographer, Marcus, sits up against the floor-to-ceiling windows with Table Mountain as backdrop. He tells me to think of the last time someone underestimated me and channel that fire into my eyes. I think of the night I almost blocked him, the unsent begging text, the 30 days of silence that turned into a roar. Click. The camera loves the story my face is telling. Between setups, we snack on fruit platters and champagne that stays mostly untouched because hydration is part of the glow. The makeup artist dusts highlighter across my collarbones and says, "This is what unbothered looks like up close." I laugh and the photo catches the mid-laugh sparkle, teeth bright, eyes crinkled. Real joy. By late afternoon, we move to the rooftop for golden hour. The wind whips the cape into wings, and Marcus shouts directions over the gusts. "Give me triumph. Give me legacy." I plant my feet wide, chin high, hands on hips like I own the skyline, and I do in that moment. The city sprawls beneath me, tiny cars and ant-sized people, and I feel the way mountains must feel, ancient and unmoved. Inside, the team reviews the shots on a laptop, gasps and murmurs rising like incense. Zara pulls up one frame, me in the white suit, city lights starting to twinkle behind me, expression calm but lethal. "This is the cover," she declares. The editor on Zoom from Cape Town agrees instantly. They overlay the masthead in bold serif. Bonang Matheba, the quiet revolution. I stare at the mock-up and feel tears prick, not from sadness, but from the weight of seeing the journey rendered in pixels. We wrap at 10 p.m., crew exhausted but electric, hugging goodbye like soldiers after battle. I tip everyone double and send them off with gift bags of my upcoming skincare prototypes. Alone in the quiet apartment, I pour one glass of the leftover champagne and toast the reflection in the dark window. The woman staring back wears smudged eyeliner and a cape of exhaustion, but her shoulders are squared like she has already won tomorrow. I fall into bed, still smelling of hairspray and victory, the mock-up saved to my phone home screen. Somewhere across the city, maybe across the world, he will open the magazine in a few weeks and see what happens when a woman stops begging and starts building. But tonight, the only audience I need is the one in the mirror, and she is already applauding. 2 days after the shoot, my phone lights up with a name I have not spoken aloud in weeks. The message is simple. "Dinner tomorrow. I owe you an explanation and a proper apology. Anywhere you choose." I read it while stirring oats on the stove, wooden spoon paused mid-circle. The oats bubble like they are gossiping. I set the phone face down and finish cooking, adding blueberries and a drizzle of honey, because sweetness is still allowed, even when men are not. I eat breakfast on the balcony, legs crossed, watching clouds drift like slow thoughts. The invitation sits in my inbox like a fancy envelope on a doorstep I have already moved away from. I think about the restaurant he would pick, probably the Italian place with a candlelit corner booth where we once split tiramisu and he traced hearts in the cocoa powder. I think about the explanation he owes, probably some version of I was scared of how bright you shine. The same script men read from when they realize the door they walked out of has been replaced by a gate they no longer have the key to. I finish the oats, rinse the bowl, and open the message again. My thumbs hover, ready to type the polite decline I have practiced in my head. Thank you, but I'm good. But something wiser stops me. I do not owe him the courtesy of a response, just because he finally grew a conscience. I leave the message on read, blue ticks glowing like tiny stop signs. The day unfolds in meetings and magic. I sign the final Vogue contract, initials looping across the page like a signature on my own future. My manager slides over a folder for a speaking tour, 10 cities, women's empowerment, 5-figure fee per stop. I flip through the itinerary and see Chicago, Atlanta, Houston, places where sisters will fill auditoriums to hear the story I am living in real time. I say yes before she finishes the pitch. Afternoon is for fittings, the skincare line moving from sketch to sample. The lab sends over the first batch of unbothered moisturizer, thick cream in a matte black jar that smells like bergamot and boundary setting. I smooth it on my wrists and the scent lingers like confidence. Evening finds me at a rooftop yoga class with Lerato and 3 other friends, sunset turning the sky, the color of peach bellinis. We flow through warrior poses, sweat mixing with city dust, laughter echoing when someone topples during tree pose. After class, we order mocktails and grilled fish, talking about everything except men until someone asks if I have heard from him. I tell them about the dinner invitation and the read receipt I left glowing. Lerato raises her glass and says, "Silence is the new RSVP. We clink. Night settles soft and warm. I drive home with the windows down, music loud enough to drown any lingering what-ifs. In the apartment, I light the bergamot candle and run a bath, pouring lavender oil until the steam smells like forgiveness. The phone buzzes on the counter, another message. I understand if you need time. I smile at the bubbles, not at him. Time is not what I need. I have already taken it. I slip into the water and let the heat melt the day away. When I step out, skin pink and renewed, I wrap myself in a towel and walk to the bedroom. The phone screen shows one more text, a photo of the Italian restaurant's entrance, fairy lights twinkling like they are trying too hard. I do not open it fully. I do not need to see the table set for 2 that will stay half empty. I turn the phone face down and climb into bed, sheets cool against my calves. Tomorrow, the speaking tour deposits hit my account, the moisturizer ships to testers, the magazine cover goes to print. Dinner with a ghost would be indigestion in a pretty dress. I choose the feast I am already cooking, one where every course is future, every bite is mine alone. The invitation expires unanswered, and the night tastes like freedom. The realization arrives not with trumpets, but with the quiet click of a seatbelt on a private jet bound for Cape Town. I am 35,000 feet above the Karoo, headphones on, playlist curated for altitude. When the thought lands soft as the clouds outside the window, I have not thought about his name in 3 days. Not in the way that used to hijack my mornings. Not in the ache that colored sunsets. Not even in the reflexive scroll through old photos. The absence of him is no longer a hole. It is acreage where I have planted new orchards. I close my eyes and feel the plain bank gently south, carrying me toward a beach house I closed on yesterday. All cash, ocean view, writing desk facing the waves. The realtor handed me the keys, tied with a blue ribbon, and said, "Welcome home." I laugh because home is no longer a person. It is a choice I renew every sunrise. Back in Johannesburg, the magazine hit newsstands this morning. My phone has been vibrating since 5 a.m. with screenshots from women in grocery lines, airport lounges, nail salons, the cover glowing under fluorescent lights. One message from a college student in Durban says, "I broke up with my situationship because your eyes on that cover told me I could. I save it to a folder labeled Reasons." The flight attendant offers champagne. I take sparkling water with lime because clarity is my new intoxication. I open my laptop and draft the first chapter of the book I have been avoiding, the one about the 30 days that turned a ghosting into a glow-up. Words pour out like they have been waiting in the wings. The red dress, the unsent text, the silence that spoke louder than any argument. I write until the captain announces descent, Table Mountain rising like a promise kept. The beach house smells of fresh paint and salt air when I walk in at dusk. I kick off my shoes and pad barefoot across hardwood floors to the deck where the Atlantic stretches endless and indigo. I set up a small table with a laptop, a candle, and a bowl of strawberries from the local market. The first stars blink on, and I open the phone to check email, one last task before unplugging. His name is there, a new message, time-stamped, an hour ago. Saw the cover, you win. I stare at the screen, thumb steady, and feel nothing but the breeze lifting my curls. There is no victory lap to run, no score to settle. The win was never about him seeing. It was about me no longer needing him to. I archive the message without reply, the same quiet efficiency I use to file receipts. I close the laptop and pick up a strawberry, juice running down my wrist like liquid rubies. The ocean crashes in steady rhythm, a heartbeat older than heartbreak. I speak to the night, voice carried away on the wind. I am the prize I was waiting for. The words settle into the sand and stay there, roots already growing. Inside, I light the fireplace for the first time, flames dancing across walls that have never heard an apology they did not ask for. I pour a glass of Pinot Noir from a bottle I bought to celebrate the house, not the man. The wine tastes like closure I earned with compound interest. I fall asleep on the couch under a cashmere throw, window cracked so the sea can sing me lullabies. In the dream, I am walking the beach at dawn. Footprints filling with water and disappearing. Proof that even the marks we leave are temporary, but the walking is forever. When I wake, the sun is a coin tossed across the horizon, and the realization is complete. I no longer need him the way lungs no longer need yesterday's air. The space he vacated is now a ballroom where I dance alone and unafraid, music loud enough to drown any echo of doubt. The night I realized this was not the end of a story, it was the dedication page of the book I am still writing with every breath. The Cape Town morning arrives, wrapped in salt mist and possibility, the kind of light that makes even the ordinary feel sacred. I wake on the couch with the throw tangled around my ankles and the faint crackle of dying embers in the fireplace. The ocean is already at work outside, waves polishing the shore like a jeweler with endless patience. I stretch, joints popping like applause, and pad to the kitchen in bare feet to start coffee in the French press I unpacked last night. While the water heats, I open the sliding doors and step onto the deck, letting the chill kiss my shoulders. The beach is empty except for a lone runner and a dog chasing gulls. And I stand there in yesterday's silk pajamas, feeling like the first page of a brand new journal. Today is for writing the letter I promised myself on the plane, the one that will close this circle and open 1,000 others. I carry the coffee and my laptop to the small table facing the water, the same spot where strawberries bled red last night. The screen glows awake, cursor blinking like it's eager to begin. I type the date, then pause, listening to the rhythm of the tide until the words find their own beat. To every sister still holding the phone at 2 a.m., thumb hovering over block or beg, I start and the rest spills out like seawater through a cracked shell. I tell them about the night the silence almost swallowed me, how I thought erasing his name would erase the ache, only to learn that real erasure happens in the choices we make when no one is watching. I describe the red dress morning, the way fabric can become armor when you decide your body is a temple, not a battlefield. I recount the gym at dawn, the weights that taught me strength is built rep by rep, the same way dignity is rebuilt choice by choice. I share the unsent begging text, 11 versions rotting in a notes app graveyard, and how deleting them felt like exhaling smoke I had been holding for years. I paint the magazine cover shoot in vivid strokes, the cape that turned wind into wings the moment the photographer said triumph, and I realized I had already claimed it long before the shutter clicked. I confess the dinner invitation I left glowing on read, how politeness is not required when peace is at stake. I linger on the flight to this house, the seatbelt click that sounded like a door locking behind every doubt. And I end with last night's strawberry juice on my wrist, the fireplace warmth, the dream of footprints washed clean, proof that we are allowed to move forward without dragging the past by its ankles. I write about the women who will read this in laundromats in Detroit, on subways in Atlanta, in quiet kitchens in Houston, while babies sleep nearby. I tell them the glow is not a filter. It is the residue of every morning you chose yourself over a maybe. I remind them that silence is not empty. It is a room you furnish with your own furniture, your own music, your own rules. I promise them that the man who ghosted is not the villain. He is the plot twist that revealed the heroine was always you. I type until the coffee is cold and the sun is high, until the cursor stops blinking, because there is nothing left to say except the truth. Your worth was never on trial, only your willingness to defend it. I read the letter aloud to the ocean, voice carrying over the dunes, and the waves answer with a crash that feels like amen. I save the file as "For my sisters" and attach it to an email to my editor with the subject line, "Book Epilogue Urgent." She replies within minutes, printing this as the final chapter. Pre-orders open tomorrow. I smile so wide the runner on the beach glances up and waves, a stranger connected by the invisible thread of mornings that feel like miracles. I spend the afternoon walking the shoreline, collecting shells, the color of sunrise, each one a tiny megaphone for the message I am sending out into the world. By evening, I am back at the table, candle flickering, wine poured, ready to record the video that will accompany the book launch. I set up the ring light and press record wearing the same silk pajamas, hair wild from the wind, face bare except for the moisturizer that will hit shelves next month. I look straight into the lens and speak like I am sitting across from every woman who ever felt small at 3 a.m. Sisters, this is your permission slip. I begin, voice steady as the tide behind me. Permission to put the phone down. Permission to wear the red dress on a random Tuesday. Permission to lift heavier, read deeper, save harder, love louder, but only yourself first. Permission to let silence do the screaming when words would only beg. Permission to build a life so full that his return becomes a footnote, not a chapter. You do not need his apology to close the book. You need your own signature on the next page. I pause, let the waves fill the silence, then lean closer. The magic is not in him coming back. The magic is in you never needing him to. I end the video with the letter's closing line. Bloom where you are planted, even if someone tried to uproot you. Because your roots were always strong enough to hold the entire garden. I upload it unedited, raw as the ocean air, and watch the views climb like the sun did this morning. Comments pour in faster than I can read. Women tagging friends, sharing screenshots, promising to start their own 30 days. One writes, "I just archived his chat instead of blocking. Thank you for the middle path." Another says, "Buying the red dress tomorrow. Charge it to self-love. I save every message that moves me into a folder labeled proof. Night falls velvet and deep." I light the fireplace again, flames, painting the walls gold, and open the pre-order link my editor sent. The book cover glows on the screen, me in the white suit, city lights behind, title in bold, "Don't block him, don't beg." The 30-day glow-up that changed everything. I click purchase for the first copy, shipping address this very beach house, because even authors need to hold their own words in their hands. I fall asleep to the sound of waves and the quiet certainty that somewhere a woman is putting her phone on the charger, face down, for the first time in months. The letter is out in the world now, carried on digital winds to every sister still holding the phone, and I know without doubt that some of them will wake up tomorrow and choose themselves before coffee. That is the legacy I build, one sunrise at a time, one shell, one sentence, one unblocked heart. The story does not end with his realization, it begins with yours. If this letter found you at the right time, hit subscribe. Drop a comment with your own red dress moment. Like to keep the algorithm kind, and share with the sister who needs to hear she is already the comeback. New videos drop every Tuesday because your glow up deserves fresh fuel.